on the court, we'll tear this contract up, this bargained contract up.
Right.
We'll start from scratch. So do you guys want to start from scratch? So if you don't, then I suggest you get back on the court and get my money. And no matter how nice you say it, whether it's we understand and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
If we could do, maybe you can make more of a social statement.
Now with your host Earl Burnett, aka Casual E.
Bird gang on 3, 1, 2, 3.
And it is Wednesday night. It is? Yes, it is a Wednesday night. Welcome into the Kazual Sportz show on this Wednesday night, somber type Wednesday night. I am your host, Earl Burnett, and this is my man, Javon Adams, in the door, in the square next door, in this Hollywood Square. And I'm going to attempt to try to do a show tonight, but I mean,
it's a celebration in a lot of ways. And
but when I say that, when I say attempt to try to do it, it's like it's kind of hard to do it with a scrambled head. You know, right now it's a lot of
I know
thought.
You said somber. It's somber, but in a lot of ways, it's very.
Well, my somber is going toward
the family.
Encouraging. Yeah, going toward the families of the victim.
I feel you.
That's the somber part, and all the African American, that continue to go through this and dealing with family members that have been through it. I mean, it's just a whole thing, but. This is the Kazual Sportz Show, and we're going to talk about this issue tonight, of course, because it is what's happening right now, and it's supposed to be talked about all the time, but it gets swept under the rug a lot. And you want to follow this show, just go ahead and hit us up on our 4 major outlets. You know the spot. Kazual Sportz, Kazual, and the Z is at the end of the word sports on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, our YouTube page. And go ahead and download our mobile apps.
App, yes, sir.
Yeah, at the www.ksrnaz.com. Growing by leaps and bounds. And our voice is starting to be a little bit, heard out there. KSRN is starting to put it down to where we got a little bit of say-so. May not be as powerful as some of the other networks as yet, but we starting to get there, bro. I'm
gonna stop you there, man. I'm gonna stop you there. Years ago, my wife said to me, I remember I was working in a certain company, and I had the position that I had wasn't one that I wanted. I mean, it was making us money, so I was trying to bring some income for the family.
Okay.
And I remember going to a holiday party, and I kept introducing myself. They would say, "What do you do?" And I say, "I just do this. I just do that."
Okay.
And so on the way home, she said, "Babe, it may not be what you want to do, but you keep devaluing yourself when you say I just do this."
Right.
So of course I was upset. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But then when I woke up the next morning, I really understood what she meant.
Smart woman.
It means a lot when instead of trying to take yourself down a notch, just believe in yourself and what you want to be. So yeah, keep projecting yourself because you're doing great things.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm just like, I'm trying to not trying to be a voice as far as recognition, but you want to get what you deserve, and you put hard work in, and and there. But where I'm leaning toward is why I'm saying I know we're still growing and we're still getting bigger and bigger, but in the scope of where the world is today. There's still obstacles. Yeah. There's still obstacles even for us coming up in this industry. Yeah. And I'm not downplaying myself. I know I'm gonna work hard and do what I got to do. And I like that Ice Cube song when he talks about walk up in there. Wait, don't be scared of them people. We walk up in there and show them that you're equal. I'm like that. That's my attitude when I go face anything I go do. Yeah. But the reality of the matter is that obstacle is there, and why is it there? And that's the whole point that gets you discouraged sometimes. Like, man, I what did I do wrong? So then that's how you got to kind of look. But that's where we are in today's society. But
that's real.
You know what's going on in the world of sports right now. So let's just go ahead and do what we got to do.
Casual house.
When it comes to sports, nothing. That's what's going on.
There's some sports going on. I'm not gonna knock those ones that decide to do it because they do it for whatever reasons that they do it. So you can't if you if you want to be, there's freedom of speech, so you want to be able to have the freedom to do what you want. But so I can't knock it, but there's some sports going on there.
Yeah, some of those sports got caught behind the 8 ball. Had already, the boycott didn't come until later, and they were already playing. So I mean, yeah, we get it. Nobody's, and see, that's the thing about today's world, man. When you everybody puts protest and thinks it's supposed to mean violence or disagreement, and we got to hate each other because we don't agree with each other. That's not what it's about. And I'm keep hearing the cynical people coming out, man. We'll get into that later. I'll get into that later.
Yes, sir.
Because
yes,
I know where
this gonna be fun.
I know where I want to go
tonight, boy. We got to have some fun tonight.
I know where I want to go, but I want to make this thing as structured as I can. But I mean, I know we're on the live air here, so. But tune in to us right here on Facebook Live. Tune in to us right here in the scope of this whole thing. But when you think about what took place today, when the Bucks decided that they were not going to come out there. I think it was more so of a recharge as to what happened with the George Floyd thing. Because when they started playing, it kind of felt like, and I'm not saying it was what the NBA was doing, I'm just saying it kind of felt like it was like, the pawns are back. Let's go ahead and get everybody get everybody's attention off this thing. Now the pawns are here to get everybody's attention off of it, and everybody gets happy about the pawns are playing basketball again. Yeah. And so now it's like, I think it's like a recharge. Like, hey, hold on a second. We know what we were down here for to begin with. And we can't allow this thing to get silent. And that's where I kind of feel like it was starting to die out a little bit. And everybody would say a couple of words here and there, a couple of words here and there, but nothing dramatical that would still cause everybody to get attention on what's going on.
There's a couple of things that, for one, if they decided to play tonight, I would not have begrudged them at all.
Right.
I know that I think it was Jason Williams, he mentioned that because of what the new ESPN radio show, morning show. He mentioned that something that where if the players played tonight, that he thought, or no, it may have been, maybe I misinterpreted the context. But if the NBA players play tomorrow, then I think that there may be he was thinking that there might be a lot of backlash from the African American community. That too. But here's the thing: so if everybody can express themselves in whatever way that they want. So you have to understand that. And I think what we get caught up in is the extremes. It's the far left or the far right, but there's nothing in between. Right. And I remember I was talking to my brother, my young, you met him, he's 6'5" and he's my little brother. But I was asking him if he was going to vote. And he said, I'm not going to vote because, and he gave me his reasons. And so instead of being that dude that's on the far left and saying, nah, dude, you need to vote. You need to do this, that, and the other. I said, give it some thought. Here's what you need to think about. If voting were not important, why would they try to do redlining and different things to try to keep you away from voting? So just give it some thought. So maybe your vote does count.
Right.
So, and he said, well, yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'll give it a little bit of thought. Cool. And we kept on hiking. But the point is that I think it was Doc Rivers last night. He was asked about in the post game conference, and he really got emotional because there's one thing about his Clippers being kind of thuggish bone, trying to take over the Mavericks game. But there's another thing with, man, you could have subdued me by grabbing me and pulling me down, or maybe tasing me as opposed to shooting me 7 times.
Right.
And
that's where I'm going.
People that don't people that have never been in that situation, or people that don't understand, and it doesn't mean that you have to be living in some terrible neighborhood.
Right.
It just means you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
And you get a police officer that decides to want to that's all of a sudden looks at your skin color and gets really intimidated and scared.
Exactly. And I love how somebody said it earlier, like, you don't know what type of mood that officer is in when he leaves his house. You don't know what kind of bad day he's having. You don't know what you don't know if something took place in his household, his kid at school, and it was a black kid involved, and he just wants to come get revenge. You don't know. And so for the cynical person to be like, well, just obey the cops and you'd be fine. Or just do that. I mean, you know what? For somebody to say that has not ever been in that situation, that's easy to say. I mean, that's easy to say. I was taught that way. I was taught that way. When you get pulled over, just obey what the police officer says. Put your hands on your steering wheel and obey. And I was taught that. But have you ever walked outside your house one day and just saw glass on the ground and your car got broken into? Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever done that?
But
what is the feeling behind that? You feel so damn violated. You're just like, man, that's how we feel when the police officer pulls us over, even when we do comply. When we do comply, they have an attitude or they have a sense of disconnection to the black community. And they looking at you and they talk to you different. They give you the attitude. They ask for your license and all this stuff for no reason. They just want to harass you just because of the color of your skin, and you're supposed to just stand there and comply with it. And when that conversation's over with, you can walk away feeling violated. Like, I don't know if I would have been another color, he would have talked to me like I was a human being. So for people to just say, just obey and just obey, man, how about you actually go through what a movie would go through and color your skin our color one day and get pulled over and see how it feels? Because you're not only fighting toward his mood or whatever, you got to be able to make sure you don't do the wrong thing, so you end up, getting taken in just for whatever or getting shot or whatever. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Tone goes a long way.
Right.
I learned this with my youngest. The way I used to parent my oldest, I had to switch how I parented my youngest. And so this is the kind of the correlation to that, is that I could ask you, how was your day, in many different ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hey, how was your day? How was your day?
Yeah.
How was your day? And it's each one of those evokes a different type of tone and a different type of response.
Right.
And that's the way in which, when you're policing a community, those are the things you gotta try to keep in mind. And there are still times when I'm with my youngest where I'm trying to talk to him and I have to pause because I realize that his personality and his temperament is different.
Right.
And so you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And I think that, look, if you got three dudes that are near you, man, three dudes, I got you and Ed on my left and on my right. So I should be able to pull out my taser because I know y'all got y'all Glocks not out.
Right.
So if it comes to that and the dude turns and starts firing, y'all got my back. So if the dude starts running, we don't start firing just because he's running.
Just because he's running, right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, and so when they say, well, it turns out that he had a knife in the car. Dude, okay, did he try to stab you? Did he turn around with it in his hand?
No.
So again, I sound stereotypical. I know people who are police officers. So for real, my youngest wants to be a freaking police officer.
Right.
Man. So I'm not trying to, and I don't discourage you from doing that. You just make sure that you're policing the community in the right way, in a responsible way. But the point is that there have been so many examples on film and on video of similar situations where the person is a different skin color, a lighter skin color, a white person, and nothing happens. People storm the state building,
right,
and they're white, and nothing happens. But if somebody starts to run towards you and they black, then you trying to tase, and you trying to knock them down and do whatever you can.
Right.
And so if you try to say, well, what did that person have in mind? Well, what did the white person have in mind as well? So keep those things in mind, as they like to say these days. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy.
I agree with that.
You might have arrested dude, fine, but you didn't need to shoot him 7 times. And thank God he's alive, because I hope he sues them and gets a lot of money. But that state, that city.
When you think about it too, it has to be racially motivated, because when you can see, and this is not about black and white. I mean, it is, but when I say this story, it's not me hating white people for doing what they do. I'm saying this: a white person can lose their mind, pick up a machine freaking gun, walk into a mall and start spraying people. And then, but here's the thing that pisses me off. The police's thought process when they go get that guy is just make sure we end this thing safely so we don't hurt nobody. And then the guy walks out the damn mall in hand freaking cuffs. Yeah. If that's a black man that's doing that, it's go in, shoot to kill, and drop his ass. That's exactly what this thing is about. It's racially motivated. Period.
And the same thing I called you. And this is transparency. Transparent as transparent can get. And so I called my wife because after I work every day, I kind of like to detox a little bit and just drive around the neighborhood and just kind of just see what's going on. And so I called Ed, and the first thing I asked him, I called my wife and I said, man, why don't they like us?
Exactly.
Seriously, why don't they like us?
I don't know.
Call my wife, and she was damn near tears. She said, I don't understand. And then I called you and I asked you the same thing. And it's not because I was trying to be dramatic, but when you're driving around and you just wonder, man, I can work in a building with this. I'm a dark brother, so I can't pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my wife's grandmother, she could pass, and she could pass. You know what I mean when I say pass. So, but I can't pass.
Right.
Brother Jay can't pass.
Right.
But the point is that people are going to form their opinions of me without knowing if I attended Harvard or the San Jose State University or wherever else, and they'll form their opinions right away. But if it's the other skin tone, and this can go for Hispanics, this can go for Asians as well. Typically, I mean, I think they're more so like when there's some nationalities where they might get a little bit more benefit of the doubt, but for the most part, because of the history,
right,
you don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly,
and that's the most disheartening.
That is the most disheartening. It's like, where's the equality? Where's treating us like we're people, like we're human beings? And like I said, like we were talking about earlier off air earlier, I mean on the phone when you called me, it was like, okay, yes, the police was involved because the guy was doing X, Y, Z, whatever he was doing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but whatever he was doing, the procedure is not to end up with your first thing you want to do is pull your gun out. Why? Yeah. Okay, if you pull up and there's an unarmed man, and you already figure out that he's unarmed, and the distance that they were to him, I've seen that scenario a whole lot of times. If you just got a guy that's belligerent, he's walking around, and you're that close to him as a police officer, and he's unarmed, well, usually it takes two officers. They'll grab that guy, get him on the ground, and get him handcuffed. Then we start talking. It's like they just waited to see him do something out of the ordinary so they can have the reason to pull that trigger. Why is your freaking gun out to begin with if he's unarmed?
Yeah, I can, again, if you have two, one should have a taser, one should have a gun.
Yeah.
That just seems natural to me. But I think, and I'm going to do a slight pivot here. One of the things when my son came into the office today, I'm working, and my son comes into the office, and he says, the Bucks are boycotting. And I said, yes, congratulations, kudos to them. And then the second thought was, I hope they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they're ready, because there's going to be so many people that do not want to hear what your reasoning is.
Right.
They don't want to hear Kaepernick, why you kneeling. They don't want to hear none of that stuff.
You don't really want
Just play. Just play. Shut up and dribble. Shut up and dribble is what they want. And I just hope. And so we know what's going on with the owners, because they just want them to shut up and dribble. We put you in a bubble. Aren't you happy? We put Black Lives Matter on the court.
Right.
Aren't you happy?
Right.
We let you put stuff on the back of your jersey. Aren't you happy? Can you just shut up and dribble so I can make this money?
Right.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. And what may happen is they may press the reset button on how these players make their money. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say that's the ultimate sacrifice for a person besides their life. But that's the ultimate sacrifice when you're saying, I'm making millions of dollars and I'm going to put that on the line because I want my people to be better. And you just hope with the way that social media is, people are ignorant. People are stupid.
Right.
Black folks are stupid when they try to act, when they try to act as if, when they try to cancel people for just believing slightly different than the way they believe.
Exactly.
Those are the things that are disconcerting to me when it comes to something like this that can make us. When I say us, I mean Black folks look like we are not together in all as one.
I agree with
that. As
a
a fist instead of 5 fingers.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's so true, man. And there are some things that we have to change too. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a question at all. But it's like,
true.
How do you? I mean, it's hard to even try to put this in words, but because it's like nobody's asking everybody to just believe what we're believing, or to get on our side just because we've been going through all this, and the whole world's supposed to change and just be on our side. It's not about that. It's about being treated the same way as you would treat somebody else. Yeah. Why is there always a different set of rules for when the cop pulls up and to see the color, and then you go ahead and start following the procedure accordingly because of the color? And I'm going to give you an example of that. I'm driving down the freeway a couple of months ago, and I'm driving down the freeway in my daughter's car, which just so happened to not have her tags on her car. And I get it. You know, you can understand why the police officer would pull you over, but the tag was in the window. The little paper that the motor vehicles give you, it's in the window. Okay, so it's in the back window. He doesn't see it in the window. He's just looking for the license plate. He don't see it on the plate. So he pulls me over on the freeway, and he asked me, you know, and I asked him, you know, kindly, why am I being pulled over? And he was like, well, have you checked your registration? And he, with the attitude, have you checked your registration lately? And so my first instinct was thinking back when my mom told me, just be cordial, just, you know, do what you got to do to get yourself out of here because you got places to go. You got to come home. And so I said, no, sir. This is my daughter's car. I said, but yet the registration is in the window, sir. He went, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. And so right there, what do you think the next move's supposed to be? From his... Be about your way, see you later. Exactly. That's where we don't get that benefit of the doubt. Because he looked in the car, saw the colors, the skin color. Now it's, oh, jackpot. I might catch this guy with something. I might end up getting something out of this guy. So here I go. Okay. Oh, okay. The registration is up there. Oh, my fault. Well, can I see your registration, your license, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You just determined I got my tag back there. What do you need to see my driver's license for and registration and all that crap? Why do we got to go to that whole? Why do we have to go through all of that? Yeah. Oh, it's just procedure now that I pulled you. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. All right. So you're going to waste another 20 minutes of my freaking time because you just want to make sure you might catch somebody and get yourself a little bit more on your quota you got to meet tonight or whatever it may be. So I said, okay, here. I gave him everything like I was supposed to. Just gave him his stuff. Here you go on your way. Have a good day. I said, whatever. You have a good day. And I just drove off. But you drive off feeling so damn violated because you're like, if that had been anybody of other color, white, he would have been like, sorry about that, sir or ma'am, be on your way. Yeah. Period. And everybody knows that's what would happen. And so that's what I'm saying. It's not about you, unless people have lived through this and really feel that tension when you walk into a room. When you walk into a room and it's like, bam, all eyes on me. All of a sudden, bam, and and the older white lady slides a little bit closer to her purse. And
that happened multiple times.
Oh my God, I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of that. Now, but here's the second thing I go off. I'm not saying that black people did not cause some of this stuff to be where it is right now, because there are some things that we could change. That that we can change the narratives and get these things different. And one thing that gets me is the use of the N word. If we talk about,
I'm not big on the N word,
if we talk about change, we didn't. Black people, we didn't make up that word. That word was given to us in a racist type way. So why are we keeping it alive? Yeah. Those are the type of things I'm talking about. We can change, but as far as
I know it's a slippery slope when it comes to that. I got partners, my dude.
Man, the rap game is all about that word.
Yeah, but my dude Blaze, I mean, he uses it quite a bit. And
I know. But here we are talking about change.
I get it. I get you, though. I get you.
Here we are talking about change, but you're not going to get anything changed unless you changing something yourself as well. Period. You can't just expect. I mean, even though we have been through so much, we're sitting back going like, well, we shouldn't have to change nothing. We the ones been through. We the victim. I get that.
Yeah.
But
there's something to what you're saying, but it's one of those things where it's not a zero-sum game where it's I change one, you change one.
Right.
It's the perception of white folks when it comes to minorities has to change. And of course, we're talking about black people right now, so it has to change. It's the person that's in HR that sees Javon Adams on a resume and says, nope,
Nope.
Michael Smith. I think I'll take a look.
Right.
Even though Javon Adams might have graduated from Harvard with a 4.0 and been in every club there is, because you don't want that. And so when you have some of these more diverse organizations that come about that are willing to do that, then you want to be. Then those are. You shouldn't be up. What is it? There was a famous Chris Rock thing where and you probably know what I'm talking about, where he says, black folks love to be, coming in for some stuff that they're supposed to do. I take care of my kids.
Oh yeah,
dumb mother effer, you supposed to. So those are things you shouldn't be commended for trying to look at the best candidate.
Right.
But that's where we are, where organizations, if they look at all the candidates, then wow, you're about diversity.
Right.
As opposed to those who just look at the more colloquial names.
So what do you think's going on with this thing? The NBA and the NBA Association, Players Association, are supposed to be having a meeting that's probably actually already happening right now as we speak.
I think it should have happened by now.
Yeah, it's already happened because it's Eastern time. Yeah, Eastern time. Yeah, that's right. I'm just thinking our time.
Like
yeah. But they've already had this meeting. What do you think went down in this meeting? Because, I mean, like I said earlier when we were talking, I said, okay, so they boycott one game. They better be ready to do this thing for real, because if you boycott one game, what good is that going to do? Where do you go from here? Are you trying to boycott the whole season until you get change? Or are you trying to? What are we doing?
It's tough, because what's the line of demarcation? What's the tipping point?
Yeah.
So you don't know. So is it okay? We boycott one, you boycott one, and then let's go ahead and keep it moving. But I guarantee what was said, what I would think it's safe to assume that what was said from an owner's position was to communicate it to the union president, was to say, look, we know it's not cool that they killing black people. We don't want them to kill black people, but I need my money. So
that's what it's
when
all
y'all
about.
gonna get back on the court? Because if you're not gonna get back on the court, we'll tear this contract up. This bargained contract up.
Right.
We'll start from scratch. So do you guys want to start from scratch? So if you don't, then I suggest you get back on the court and get my money. And no matter how nice you say it, whether it's we understand and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
If we could do, maybe you can make more of a social statement by going on the court and banding together and showing how we could play as one, and be able to move forward. When the theme is get me my money.
Yeah.
And what will happen is if the players don't, and this is, man, Casual E, this is where the rubber meets the road, and I can't be mad at them for it, because it's, again, I'll use Chris Rock. I mean, this just might be the episode where we use Chris Rock all the time, is that where he was talking about OJ, where he said, if you make $30 million, you got to give somebody half. All right. But if you make 30,000, and you got to give somebody half, you might have to do something egregious. And that's what I don't want these players to lose, to go from making I don't care if I'm never going to make it. They're making a 80 million, 70 million, 30 million to tear it all up and start from scratch for these owners that don't care about you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, once you know this, we watch sports. Once you retire or once you're injured, insert David Johnson, and you produce less than, your voice does not carry as much. So they're trying to do what they can right now, but I don't want them to risk their generational wealth. Hopefully they can try to find some way to leverage it in a different way, but I commend them.
Yeah,
I straight
Definitely.
up, I commend them. The Lakers even said, Lakers and Blazers said, we won't play the rest of the season. We straight. Man, LeBron might not get another chance to win another championship, with the way the West is. And so I commend them. That's to be commended, because people like Clay Travis and Jason Whitlock, who are just trying to stoke the fires, they don't care about you.
Right.
They don't care. They don't care. They just want to get people riled up on the left and the right. And I'll step back for a second.
But no, that's good. That's good, because that's truth. That's the truth. They don't care, and so it's about money. It's going to always be about money. It's going to be money motivated regardless. Yeah. But okay, if it's going to be about money, okay, fine. But what are we going to do to make it about everybody getting treated the same way, so some people can have an opportunity to get that money? Somebody that might have a harder road because, like you said, you're the educated guy and can't get a job because that guy just happens to have the right skin color. I mean, how does that change? How is that going to change? You know what? How are you going to change anybody's thought process? I mean, it's one thing to change laws and rules, and how are you going to change somebody's thought process?
Yeah.
That's hard.
There's so many people that are on the far left and the far right again. And so what you're hoping to be able to touch are those people that are in the middle. And it's hard to understand who those people in the middle are. Because I get calls now where where there are those polling agencies that are asking me who I'm voting for. I know who I'm voting for.
Mm-hmm.
Might not be happy about it, but I know who I'm voting for. But I'm not going to tell them. So it's the same way that those people are in the middle. They're not going to tell you, well, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't understand. There's a person there. Anyway, I'll tell you offline. But the point is, you're hoping to find those people who are open-minded enough to hear. It's amazing how this works. You hear both sides of the argument, and then you make a decision.
Right.
Good Lord. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how that works?
Right.
I hear your thoughts, and then I say, let me make up my mind. But that doesn't happen all the time. Right. And before we get too far off this, I wanted the Major League Baseball. There were a couple of teams that decided not to play tonight in protest. Man, hats off, because baseball there ain't no black people in baseball.
Right.
4%. But I got to give props where props are due. It doesn't mean that they're changing the world, but it means that they're making a statement. It's
how much is that? I mean, let me ask you this though. Really, how much is that really? How much is that is really a statement, or how much is it is just not wanting to be that person that's against or looking like you're against it, so you just do it because of that fact?
The Diamondbacks played tonight.
Right.
I'll remember that.
Right.
Doesn't mean I won't support them, but I'll remember that.
Right.
I know the Reds didn't play tonight.
That's what I'm saying. So
I know the Reds didn't play tonight.
Right.
You know what? You might see me roll through your crib one day with a freaking Reds hat on. but I'm being. Those are. I don't care if they made that decision because they said this might help our bottom line, but they made the decision when they know that there's so many, especially in baseball, dog.
Right.
You know. You've been to baseball games, and there's not a lot of folks that look like me and you that are at the baseball games.
Exactly.
So when we walk in, they look at us, who let you in the clubhouse? And so I might roll with the Reds a little bit more than I roll with the Diamondbacks. And I'm just being real about that because they made a decision for them. And so I'm not the dude that's about to condemn them for it, but I'll remember it. It's cool. The same way that people will remember that LeBron didn't play tonight. Right. I mean, they're not going to play tomorrow, or that the Milwaukee Bucks didn't play tonight. You know what I'm saying? So the Lakers, the Blazers, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Magic, the Bucks, they didn't play tonight. So there are going to be so many fans that remember that.
Right.
I'll remember it too.
But isn't that part of the problem though? That we remember it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna remember that. But then again, if we're talking about equality and people having a right to have their own, why judge that person for making that decision? And so we're going to look at that and be like, I'm going to remember what you did. But at the same time, he's got a right to say yes. He's got a right to say no. My whole point is this. I can say what I want to say. Just don't judge me for what I say. And I'm not judging you for what you say. Just let bygones be. If this world all agreed on everything, it wouldn't be a real world. It'd be a fantasy land. It's not. Yeah. That's never going to happen. My point is just respect the other person's opinion, or respect the other person's where they come, because we don't know where that person's come from. We don't know what their backbone is, or why they do things, or what they do. I don't know. So I mean, how do we change the whole problem? The whole problem is we all are pointing fingers at each other, trying to say you shouldn't, I shouldn't, we shouldn't, I shouldn't, which is where we are as a society, because that's just how it's always been. But when do we respect each other and just say, look, you believe that? This is why I like what some of the guys are doing on the football when they're kneeling. Some guys are standing up and they're still holding her person's hand, and they're still got the Black Lives Matter shirt on. That's what I'm talking about. We can disagree, agree to disagree, but we don't have to hate each other because we have different opinions.
This is true.
And but it's more color motivated when it comes to us though, because that's where we're standing up right now. Is because right now is because it's always between us, because it's the color of our skin at the same time, and he disagree with us.
There's black Republicans. There's black Democrats, right?
Yes.
I guarantee there are black. There are
following
white
the
Democrats
protocol. Following the protocol.
But that there are Democrats that can't stand black folks.
I know.
I know there are Republicans that probably love black folks.
Right.
But so get that. So yeah. So if I come across somebody that says they're Republican, okay, straight. Let me ask you why you are. If I come across somebody that says they always vote Democrat, let me ask you why you do that.
Why? You're right. Right.
Why you just throwing up the blue, fool? So, but what I'm getting at is this: is that though, for example, I can respect a Drew Brees saying, you know what, nah, man, what you're not gonna do is blah 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 on the flag, and then 2 hours later say, well,
I didn't mean to say
I kind
that.
of feel it. I
Right.
didn't mean to say what you're not gonna do. What I meant to say was what you can do is
Right.
nah. If you feel that way, feel that way.
Exactly.
I respect you.
Stand on it.
I'll disagree with you, and I might not rock with you, but
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But I understand. But I'll listen. I respect
Right.
the fact that you had the nerve to stand up.
Nothing wrong
So
with that.
that's why I say I respect. For example, going back to the Diamondbacks, the Diamondbacks played. I respect that.
Right.
I'll remember it. It doesn't mean I'm going to look
you're
at
going to
them
remember
and
it
say,
for the rest of the time. This is a
and I
moment
also
in
look
history.
at the Reds and say the Reds looked at it and said, you know what? We trying to read the room right now.
Yeah.
Nah,
it good. Yeah.
I mean, this is not the business.
Right.
And so what the sad thing is that there are so many people. There are again two diametrically opposed sides. There are the sides that are you and I, our Hispanic brothers and sisters that are saying, yeah. We need to pay attention. And there are other people that are saying, you guys just don't understand.
Yeah.
There's no racism here. They said that in the most recent convention, and I won't say what party it was, but there's the most recent convention where somebody stood up and said there's no racism in the country. Where a few months ago this person said, I experienced racism. So how can both be true? They can't be true.
Yeah.
So that's what needs to happen is just being able to, we can agree to disagree, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Let me hear your side. You hear both arguments. It's okay to change your thoughts.
Yeah.
Because again, the way that I parented my oldest is not the way that I parent my youngest, because I had to listen. And if I didn't listen, then my house would be more of a war zone than it is right now, man.
Yeah, it's all segregated, all separated, and all depending on what color you are. I mean, even politics. I mean, how many times have we heard, oh, we're trying to go get the black vote. We're trying to go get the Mexican vote. The white, and it's like, why do you got to be a black vote or a Mexican? Why can't it just be trying to get a human being's vote? Why does it have to be separated and tagged? Everything's got to be tagged with a color on everything. And it's like, that's why you're being lied to, because people are just trying to tell you what you want to hear just to get what they're trying to get into politics. That's just politics. I hate politics anyway. I don't like talking about politics. They all lying as far as I'm concerned. But Roger Goodell had a meeting that was about Colin Kaepernick.
Indeed. And he apologized, right? He said,
yeah,
my bad,
you're right.
Colin. My bad. I'm going to call you up. He put him on the speakerphone and said, my bad, dog.
Ed asked me a question when I was on you guys' show a while back. I did the Easy Sports Talk show with him a while back. Came on and asked a question. No, I came on you guys' show as a guest.
You was kind of co-hosting a little bit.
No. This time I was actually on the road driving, and I called in.
Oh, yes.
And this was right around the time after the George Floyd thing took place. And he asked me a question that he didn't get a chance to get my answer before I got off the air. And he was asking me a question about Colin Kaepernick and why Colin Kaepernick has not been more vocal now. Why isn't he? Do you agree with why is he so quiet right now? He hasn't said much. And I wanted to answer that question, but now when I think back of it now to today, and I go, yeah, it's still the same today. He hasn't said much. And I would think, for me, I would go, you know what? He doesn't need to say much. No. Because his all of it, what he's saying has already been proven right after, everything is right there in front of everybody to see what he was standing for. It should be already enough said. And that's kind of how I feel. I don't think he can stand out and come out and say anything. I think he's justified.
This is definitely not the same thing, but I'll say this. It was about 10 years ago. So I'm trying to make a name for myself not like I ever really did, but I was trying to make a name for myself in the Phoenix little rap scene, right?
Okay.
So there was a dude that was trying to come up, and he was and he decided to controversy was his thing.
Okay.
And so he decided to diss some people in a song. So he dissed me in a song. And I didn't really care, whatever. But there were folks that rolled with me that
Oh, you can't let them
were
do that
heated.
to you.
They was heated. They said, "Nah, man, you don't diss Jay," and they got after him. I
Oh,
didn't have to
wow.
say nothing.
Wow.
So I could have said something, but I didn't, and because folks were riding for me,
Right.
and I appreciated that, and I still do to this day. But the point is that I'm not the dude that's about to try to battle dudes because I think it's for a lot of times it's just kind of corny because I knew what he was trying to do and I wasn't trying to let him get that rise out of me.
Right, right.
But so what I say is this: when it comes to Colin, he didn't get in this to say I'm about to be the best orator there is in the world.
Right.
He wasn't trying to be Martin Luther King. He wasn't trying to give these prolific speeches because that's not him. If you ever listen to him speak publicly, you just that's just what it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just a matter of what he's trying to do, the impact that he's trying to make. So he doesn't need to speak at every turn to be able to say, yeah, y'all feel me?
Right.
No, he goes and does his thing. And what is it that Puffy used to say? Bad boys work in silence. Bad boy, clink, clink, clink. And that's kind of what Colin does.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's I mean, either way, if he'd have came out and just publicly said something, it wouldn't really matter. But I just think he laid the foundation. It's like, wait, what do I got to say? Anything? You see what I was standing for. That was it. What do I got to keep? I got to come out and say, I told you so. I mean, we already know where we are right now.
He can't win for losing, though, because if he came out and said, I appreciate y'all for doing this, and they said, why are you encouraging them? If he doesn't, how come you're not encouraging them? Dang, man. I'm trying to eat some lasagna.
So now you got the NFL, who has not started a game yet. But yet the Lions actually started this whole thing by not going to their practice that one morning.
Shout out to the Lions with Matt Patricia with the pencil in his ear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pencil in his ear, writing on laminated paper.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pencil
and they
man.
started it. So now it's like, well, what makes us think that that's going to stop just because they started it now? So now NFL, everybody's going to follow suit. It's just going to be a matter of how long is this thing going to go on, and what is I mean, we know what we want, what we're trying to get done. We're trying to get our voices, to be heard and get change to be made. But who's going to be the one that's going to? What's next? What's the plan? What's the plan? Because I mean, I mean, having a voice in sports is totally, you're a popular person, you got a voice, so that's helping because you got a voice. And that's probably why sports is being used because of the voices we have. Hey, these are our voices. Remember back in the day? I don't know if you remember. Of course you remember. You back in the day when the laws were no religion, no all that stuff in the workplace. None of you can voice no opinion. All that stuff you could not do it in the workplace.
True indeed.
And this is where we are today. Now it's in the workplace. It's everywhere because you can't stop it because it's too out of control. And so now my point is, one game. Is one game going to be enough, or a week, let's say they go till next week, or whatever, a week's worth of games, is that going to be enough to start change?
No.
Because it's been going on for way too long, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It's been going on for way too long, and I think what it is, we can look at it as a seed being planted for our generation to come, but change is not going to just change and start after so long. That's like a obese person that, it took me all these years to get this fat. It's going to take me that quick to get skinny. You got to go through the process to get, to lose that weight. I'm just saying. There's a process, man.
I appreciate that.
There's a process. There's a process. And and it's like everybody, it feels like we're thinking something's going to happen right now, but I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just all off the base.
Here's the thing that goes with that. It's where the conversation hopefully will start is this. Tom comes home and he says, "Hey, how come the game isn't on?" Oh, they boycotted today. Why did they boycott?
Right.
They boycotted because of the shooting that happened the other day. What do you mean? What shooting? Oh, you didn't know, Dad?
Right.
And then so they start to talk about it. And then you know what? That is wrong. You know what? When you should treat people the way that they should be treated. You see what I mean?
Right.
So it's that.
It's
so
planting
that
seed.
family.
Yeah, you're planting the seed all over.
In my household, it was me and my oldest, and then my wife had this conversation with my youngest as well. But me, my oldest, and my wife saying, this is messed up. This son, you got to make sure that when you're out and about, you watch yourself.
Right.
Or
Right.
these are the things that you need to. You see the risks that they're taking. Sometimes you have to realize that there are things worth risking.
Right.
Figure out what that is.
Right.
And when you do it, go all in because they're going to face repercussions.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
they and in another household it's F them because they don't understand if I give my right arm to play basketball
Right.
and they don't
Right.
get it. But
Right.
you hope that there are more of those conversations where trying to understand when it's good, when it's worth to risk something,
Yeah.
and then also what it means to treat people the way that they should be treated
Yeah.
to avoid situations like this.
Right.
So you hope that that's what happens, because it's again, that's what that can be. I came home I wanted to know who won the Bucks game. The Bucks didn't play. It's that type of stuff. And so that's what you hope happens, is that those conversations are sparked from there. But I guarantee you there are so many people that are just so cut off because they're looking for any reason to say they're ungrateful.
Right.
They're ungrateful.
I heard Chris Webber say something tonight that I thought was really, on point. And he was like, all of our leaders back in the past have fought this same fight and they end up being killed and it just keeps going. He said nothing's going to happen. We know nothing's going to happen. Even right now, nothing's going to happen. He said, but I am so glad that it's this younger generation that is at least planting a seed for the next generation to come to maybe pick it up and keep rolling. And maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now, things will be different because it's not going to just change overnight. It's not going to just change right now. And here's another thing I'm going to say is I was always taught this, and nobody wants to get on the religion thing because I'm not into religion. It's more spiritual than anything. I don't care about religion. Right. But the spiritual thing, when you talk about the spiritual thing, is you cannot change a man's heart. You can't. Don't even. So it seems like that's what we're trying to do. Let's get everybody's attention and change their minds and their hearts to think this way. But you can't do that unless that's what's embedded in somebody's heart. Only God can change. And he'll use circumstances like this that could possibly change it. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe your son or your daughter might end up going through something the same thing, and it changes your heart and it changes your mind. But a person can't just change another person's heart. So where does it start from? It starts from you teaching your kids at home, parents. Yeah. That's where all this hate's not, you're not born coming into the world knowing how to hate a color. That has to be taught. Sure. That has to be taught. So that's where it's going to start. It's hard to change it now because we're already deep into the crap. But the future generation, starting right now, white people, Asian people, any color out there, start to teach your young kids that when you see this color on the playground, he's a person too. Go ahead and continue to play with that person and find out what that person's about and get to know that person. Don't. I see a black man. My mom told me to get away from those type of people when they come on the playground.